So picture this. It's May 16th, 2026. A 30-year-old student, sitting all the way over in Boston, types out a single post on X. He basically says, hey, India's youth have just been called cockroaches, and you know what? We should be proud of it. Right then and there, he launches a totally fake political party named after an insect, complete with a manifesto demanding free Wi-Fi, afternoon naps, and, well, dignity for all. But here's the thing. He had absolutely no idea what was about to happen next.
Get this. In just 78 hours, barely over 3 days, this fake Cockroach Janta Party racked up 3 million followers on Instagram. 3 million!
And it didn't stop there. By day 5, that number exploded to 20 million. That's more than the ruling BJP. It's more than the Indian National Congress, literally more than any actual legitimate political party in India.
Naturally, the crackdown was swift. The government blocked its account on X. The party's website was reportedly taken down, and the founder's personal Instagram hacked. Suddenly, global heavyweights like the BBC, Al Jazeera, NBC News, and CBS News are covering this everywhere. And the craziest part? The founder built the whole thing using AI, Claude and ChatGPT, in a single weekend. This is The Explainer, and this is the full CJP story.
Okay, so to really understand what happened here, we have to look at the exact moment that lit the match. It was May 15th, 2026. The Chief Justice of India, Surya Kant, was presiding over a Supreme Court hearing. During the session, he made some pretty sharp remarks about unemployed young people. He specifically said, and I quote, "There are youngsters like cockroaches who don't get any employment or have any place in the profession. Some of them become journalists, social media activists, and start attacking everyone." Well, as you can imagine, those remarks spread instantly. Within hours, the phrase "youngsters like cockroaches" was trending across literally every platform in India.
Now, to be fair, the Chief Justice did later clarify that he was only talking about individuals with fake degrees, not India's youth as a whole. But honestly, the clarification came way too late. For millions of young Indians who are already fed up with soaring unemployment, rising costs, and that massive NEET exam scandal where government exam papers were leaked, affecting hundreds of thousands of students, these words just hit differently. The spark had caught fire. And watching all this unfold was Abhijeet Dipke.
So who is Abhijeet Dipke? He's a 30-year-old political communications strategist who had just finished his PR degree at Boston University. He actually had a background working with the Aam Aadmi Party, which is one of India's main opposition parties. So this guy understands political messaging. He gets viral content. And on that morning of May 16th, he knew exactly what this particular moment needed. It wasn't another online petition, not a protest march, not even an angry open letter. What they needed was a cockroach.
He spent that entire day building the Cockroach Janta Party from absolutely nothing. He fired up Claude and ChatGPT to design the website, write out a manifesto, and generate these hilarious AI images of cockroaches wearing corporate suits with the tagline, "They tried to crush us, but we are back." The membership criteria? Completely satirical. You had to be unemployed, lazy, chronically online, and capable of ranting professionally. The official party symbol was a smartphone, and their big election promise was free Wi-Fi, afternoon naps, and dignity for all. It was totally absurdist, super funny, but man, it was loaded with very genuine anger.
And what happened next was just unlike anything the Indian internet had ever seen. Remember those numbers? Within 78 hours, the CJP's Instagram page crossed 3 million followers. By day 5, it smashed past 20 million. Let that sink in. 20 million Indians, 2 crore people following a fake, satirical cockroach party in under a week. Just to put that into perspective for you, India's actual ruling party, the BJP, had about 8.8 million Instagram followers at the time. The Indian National Congress had even fewer. So this fake party, with a cockroach logo, built by a student in Boston over a weekend using AI, just steamrolled past both of India's biggest political parties. Insane, right?
The hashtag #MaybeCockroach, which translates to "I am also a cockroach," absolutely exploded. It was used millions of times across Instagram, X, and YouTube. The memes were just relentless. Videos were going incredibly viral. Young Indians all over the country were sharing these fake CJP membership cards, proudly posting their quote-unquote qualifications, unemployed, chronically online, professionally angry. It was a kind of dark humor, sure, but it carried serious emotional weight, because beneath all those jokes was something very real, an entire generation of Indian youth who felt totally dismissed and unseen, finally speaking a language that actually cut through the noise.
But here's the kicker. The CJP wasn't just about the memes. Hidden right behind the satire was a very real 5-point manifesto tackling massive issues. First demand: end corruption in competitive exams. The NEET paper leak had already ruined the futures of hundreds of thousands of students who studied for years, so CJP made this their centerpiece. Demand 2 was judicial transparency, taking direct aim at retired judges getting cozy government jobs, a major conflict of interest. Demand 3 called for independent media, criticizing a corporate-aligned press that young people just don't trust anymore. Demand 4 pushed for election accountability, addressing voter manipulation claims. And the fifth demand? Economic dignity for the youth, meaning real jobs, not just empty promises. Every single demand was wrapped up in memes and satire, but every single one of them was a very real issue. The absolute genius of the CJP was taking serious, heavy political critique and making it entertaining enough to share. It reached people who normally wouldn't touch political content with a 10-foot pole.
And honestly, you could tell the establishment was genuinely worried by how fast they reacted. On May 22nd, less than a week after the whole thing launched, the CJP's account on X was suddenly blocked in India. The official reason was compliance with government orders. Then Abhijeet Dipke hopped on X to announce that the CJP website had also been pulled down by the government. His personal Instagram reportedly hacked. And the CJP's main Instagram account was targeted too.
In response, Dipke posted this: "They blocked us on X. They took our website. They hacked my account. Cockroaches always come back." And man, that crackdown became a massive news story of its own. We're talking Al Jazeera, CBS News, NBC, BBC, the Associated Press, everyone was on it. Internationally, the narrative flipped overnight, from this quirky, viral Indian meme party to a serious story about the Indian government cracking down on youth satire. And of course, the Streisand Effect kicked in immediately. Every single attempt to silence the movement just poured gasoline on it. New accounts popped up, mirror websites were launched. Just like Dipke said, the cockroach always comes back.
Look, the CJP is hilarious, no doubt about it. But the underlying issues, not funny at all. India is dealing with a massive, structural youth unemployment crisis. The jobless rate among educated youth, people who actually hold degrees, is way higher than the national average. And that NEET paper leak we talked about, that wasn't just a one-off oops moment. It was the latest in a long, painful pattern of government exam failures that keep derailing the lives of young people who did everything right. They followed the rules, they studied hard, and then they had to stand by and watch the system completely fail them. So when the Chief Justice dropped that cockroach remark, regardless of what he actually meant, it landed on this mountain of accumulated frustration like a match on petrol.
What the CJP managed to capture was something that traditional opposition politics had totally missed. It gave India's Gen Z a language they actually wanted to use: memes, satire, self-deprecating humor. It gave them a shared identity, chronically online, unemployed, angry but resilient. The word cockroach wasn't just an insult they reclaimed, it became a symbol that basically said, hey, you can dismiss us, you can call us parasites, you can try to block our accounts, but we are not going anywhere. Political scientists have been scratching their heads at this, noting that the CJP achieved in just 5 days what traditional youth movements have failed to do for years. It made millions of totally disengaged young Indians feel like they were actually participating in democracy. Not by going to a rally or casting a ballot, but by sharing a meme.
Now here is the absolute wildest part of this story, and why it's so relevant to the things we usually talk about. Abhijeet Dipke built this entire thing using AI. The website, AI. The manifesto, drafted with AI. Those viral images of cockroaches in little corporate suits that became the whole face of the movement, all AI generated. The entire brand, the visual identity, the tone, the messaging was created by one single person in one single weekend using just Claude and ChatGPT.
Think about that for a second. Even just 5 years ago, launching a movement with this kind of visual polish, coherent writing, and tight brand consistency, you would have needed a whole team of graphic designers, copywriters, and web developers. It would have taken weeks of planning and cost thousands of dollars. But in 2026, it took one guy, 2 AI tools, and a weekend. So the CJP isn't just a story about the frustration of Indian youth. It's a huge case study in what happens when AI tools give a single individual the power to move at institutional speed, to build, brand, and broadcast a message globally in the time it used to take just to book a meeting room. We talked a lot about AI agents and how AI is reshaping work. But this is what happens when those incredibly powerful tools land in the hands of someone who actually has something important to say.
By late May 2026, the CJP had skyrocketed to over 21.9 million Instagram followers, and it's still climbing. And it's actually spilling into the real world now. Volunteers have started organizing offline protests and neighborhood cleanup drives all over India. People are literally showing up in cockroach costumes,
perfectly blending this absurdist internet humor with actual, on-the-ground civic action.
Now, it's worth noting that the CJP is not a registered political party with the Election Commission, and they don't have any plans to actually run in elections. Winning seats is not the goal here. The goal is simply to be heard. Dipke has done interviews with the BBC, Al Jazeera, you name it, and he's been very upfront about this. The CJP is a pressure movement. It's not a formal party. Their weapon is visibility, not votes. Whether or not this movement actually leads to long-term political change, honestly, we'll just have to wait and see. We've certainly seen viral movements in India explode and then just fade away before. But the CJP has already achieved something permanent. It completely changed the conversation. Because for one absolutely extraordinary week in May 2026, the entire Indian political establishment was forced to respond to a cockroach.
The Cockroach Janta Party started as a joke, but it became a massive movement because millions of young Indians saw something incredibly real buried in that satire. Their own frustration, their resilience, and their absolute refusal to be ignored anymore. And the fact that it was built from the ground up by one person, armed with just a laptop and 2 AI tools, is just mind-blowing. Whatever your take on the politics might be, the story of the CJP really is the story of 2026. It's about a generation finally finding its voice, and AI giving them the power to make sure that voice is literally impossible to ignore. I'm your host, this is The Explainer.
Drop a comment, #MaybeCockroach, or tell me what you think the CJP actually represents. Let's talk about it. Subscribe, we're here every week. See you in the next one.